I know you're unhappy. I know you feel sad. You feel down and out, and you feel no one sees you, no one hears you, and nobody cares. But in spite of your issues, in spite of all your problems, in spite of all your difficulties, you are not alone. We all go through dark times. We all have obstacles in the way, just everything. One thing after another just keeps going wrong. You keep getting knocked down, setbacks, things don't work out, but you should remember, this is just life. I know you're going through a really dark time right now, but you've got to believe if you just keep pushing through, if you keep getting back up, and if you keep going, you're going to get through it. There is always light at the end of a tunnel. You have to believe that. But let me tell you now, the dark times are going to come again. There is always going to be dark times ahead. There is always going to be storms on the horizon, but you've got to have the strength and the resilience. Don't let life beat you. Do not let life beat you. Because this thing we call life can be the most beautiful thing in the world if you just keep getting back up and keep going. We all go through disappointment, loss, setbacks, but all of those dark times are a part of life. It's easy to get discouraged, even bitter, thinking, why is this happening to me? Why just me? Sometimes we look at pieces in our lives that don't make sense. The key is what we do in our times of pain. Pain will change us. Heartache, loss, disappointment, breakup, rejection. They don't leave us the same. Every painful time, it's developing something in you that can only be developed in those dark times. Eventually, that will pass and you will go through it, but you will be different, and you will be grateful for those tough times. Now, how tough times changes you is up to you. You can come out bitter, or you can come out better. You can come out defeated and giving up your dreams, or you can come out with a new passion and excited about the new opportunities in front of you. Don't complain about the pain. Without the pain and those dark times, we couldn't reach the fullness of our destinies. All of us experience pain and dark times, but my challenge is don't just go through it, but grow through it. That difficulty is an opportunity to get wiser, to develop ourselves, and to get better. Anybody can give up. Anybody can let it overwhelm you. But you know what that is doing? Just wasting your pain. That dark time is not to stop you. It's there to prepare you for a brighter future. Difficulties are a part of life, and now quit telling yourself you can't take it or do it. You're not weak. You are strong. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Our mind always tries to convince us to settle where we are. Life has a way of pushing our dreams down. They can become buried under discouragement, buried under past mistakes. There are dreams buried under divorce and under low self-esteem. It's easy to settle for mediocrity even though we have all this potential buried on the inside. What you are remembering, the hurt, the pain, just turn it around and remember your dreams. How you allowed any dreams to get buried in you, you could easily settle where you are and nobody would fault you. The enemy would love to deceive you into burying your dream, thinking that it's never going to happen. Don't listen to those lies. It's not too late to become all you were created to be. This is your time. This is your moment. Shake off the doubt and negativity. You're at the right time and place. Now, all you have to do is get in the right frame of mind. To everyone who is listening or watching right now, you have so much to give, so much to offer, and so much to do. But doing it and sitting around waiting for it to happen, it's just going to stay neutral. You have to electrify that desire that you have, that you once had, so the next time when you feel complaining, when you feel worrying, and you are so concerned about other things that don't necessarily concern you, ask yourself, is it making you better? Is it taking you higher? are you going further? Or are you just being complacent? Complaining and worrying and doing things that are not better for you? Are you going to realize that maybe just going up the mountain does a little bit more work than just having something handed to you? Are you going to be that person that realized that if and when you get to the top of the mountain, don't just stop there, you got to figure out another way to go even higher? You have to electrify and get all the things that are necessary within you to start doing the things that you need to do, so when the time comes, you can kick down that door and move towards the possibilities of being the best of who you really are. Don't lose yourself and the things that's not going to give you strength and capacity of understanding that you matter for something. Don't lose yourself in fear. Don't lose yourself in doubt. Dare yourself to be better. Dare yourself to be unique. Dare yourself to be the best possibility that the world has yet to see.
You only have so much energy in your life. You only have so much focus in your life. You only have so much ability in your life to choose what you're going to do and what you're going to be and what your identity and your self-image is going to be. And when you choose to be one of these victims who thinks there's an Olympics out there for the saddest motherfucking story, that means you have no room to move forward. You have no room for dreams. You have no room for aspirations. You have no room for the actions that lead to those aspirations because you're so busy filling your mind with the bad shit that's happened to you already in life that you have zero chance moving forward. Explain how that makes sense. Okay, we live in a backwards culture where victim mentality is celebrated. The hard shit, the bad shit, the unfortunate shit that's happened to us is glorified through sympathy and virtue signaling, where all these people, all the people you know, pat you on the ass and say, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Oh, you're so brave. Oh, you're so this. Cool. Maybe you are. But that shit will eventually keep you from getting the life that you actually want. That's the shit that's going to keep you from moving forward, to keep you from focusing on what you could be rather than what's actually happened to you in the past. You get one or the other. You can look forward or you can look backwards, but you can't look both ways at the same motherfucking time. And so many of you guys have got enamored and sucked into this victim culture that we are shoved down our throats from the media, from Hollywood, from all these things where we brag about the bad shit that's happened to us and we talk about all this help we need over here and how flawed we are. Motherfucker, we're all flawed. You don't think every motherfucker out there has a sad story of some sort? Fuck, dude. Everybody has hard shit they gotta go through. There's not a single motherfucking successful person on this planet that hasn't gone through their version of really fucking hard shit.
But I learned along the way, everything that's happening to you is God is processing. Every difficult moment you're having, He just processing. That's all He's doing. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. And if you need to be tough when you get to where you're going, then He gonna toughen you.
I need you to rejoice in the midst of opposition, in the midst of adversity, in the midst of trials. It's a big difference between quoting scripture and having to live it. Whatever you do, please don't quit. The danger of quitting is it has the possibility to become a habit, and then before long, you'll look up and you'll quit on your wife, you'll quit on your relationship with God, you'll quit on anything that brings a level of discomfort, and it doesn't give you the validation you want because you're not getting it and because you're not cut like that.
Life is hard. See, for every time you have a plan, a dream, an aspiration, or a goal, do you know what happens every time you have one of those? This thing comes along called life. It happens to everybody.
We got to wake up every single day. We got to fight and we got to build it. In the midst of opposition, adversity, and challenges, like I told the guys I played with, I don't care how tall your daddy was, you got to do your own growing. True courage is the ability to accept pain and start things without any guarantee of success, but also understanding that the ability to learn is a gift even when pain is your teacher.
Life has disappointments. It got peaks and valleys. you're going to lose somebody you care about one day. That's a valley. Somebody going to close the plant you thought was going to stay open so you can retire. That's a valley. Somebody going to fire you for an unjust cause. That's a valley.
You judge the character of a person by where they stand in times of challenge and controversy. You got some of the most brilliant people on the face of this planet. When they hit adversity, they can't fight themselves out of a paper bag. And it's not even that they don't have the will, like they got it. It's that the perspective about the adversity isn't right. And I firmly believe perspective drives performance every day of the week. How an individual view what they do will always affect how they do what they do.
You can stop thinking that life finna be easy, cause I got news for you, it ain't. That's a false hope to think you're gonna have a wonderfully carefree life. That's unthinkable.
You watch a movie, you read a book, here's the story. At the beginning of the story, the main character is like really happy. She or he is really healthy. They have incredibly passionate, loving relationships. They have a great family. They love their career. They're financially free. They're spiritually alive. That's how it starts. And then about a third of the way through the story, the person's really happy. They're really healthy. They have a great family. Their finances are great. Their career is great. They feel spiritually and physically alive. And you get to the last portion of the book, and they're really healthy, and they're really happy, and they have great relationships and great finances, and everything's perfect. Who's going to go to that movie? Nobody, right? Because what makes us alive, what makes us grow, is facing a challenge. My teacher, Jim Rohn, said something to me when I was 17. I'm 60, and I've never forgotten it. He said, Tony, what you get will never make you happy. Who you become will make you really happy or really sad. And I found that to be totally true.
Now, the thing that happens, though, if we be able to really take control of our meaning is we got to pay attention to our emotions. So in your notes, write down emotions. Under emotions, in fact, you might want to write the word negative emotions. Negative emotions. Negative emotions. And then as soon as you write it down, cross it out. The word negative, anyway. What are some of your negative emotions? Tell me what they are. Fear, what else? Pardon me? Hate, what else? Anger, what else? Guilt, what else? Worry, what else? Upset, guilt, what else? Frustration. I got a question for you. Are they really negative? I'm here to tell you there's no way they're negative. Every emotion you've ever had in your life serves a purpose. The reason it's negative is you've been calling it negative instead of getting the message it's been trying to give you. Every emotion you have, including those you think of as negative, those ones you call negative emotions, I call them emotional messages. I also call them calls to action. All those negative emotions, as you used to label them, are really a call to action. Fear is a call to action. By the way, do you feel that call to action in your body when you're afraid? Yes or no? Does your adrenaline start pumping? Your whole system start gearing up? Emotions are a call to action. And the call to action says one of two things has to happen in that call to action. It's a message. Every emotion is a message. A call to action. And the action and the message it's trying to give you is that you need to change either, number one, your perception of this, or number two, your current actions. Every negative emotion you've ever felt is not negative. Now, you may be overusing them, I'll agree with you. You may be indulging in them, I agree with you. You may not be getting the message from them. What's making it negative is you're not getting the message it's trying to give you. But every emotion, fear, frustration, hate, anger, guilt, all of those emotions are here to serve you if you get quick the message. What most of us do is we just indulge in the emotion. So we never get the message, and that's why it's negative, because it starts screwing up your body, because what it is a signal to act, and you're not acting. That's why you feel sick to your stomach. You're not acting. You just keep on indulging emotion, not hearing the message. So the message is always, you must change something. Negative emotions are saying you got to change something. Either change the way you're perceiving this, change the meaning you link to this, change your perception, change your focus, or change your actions. Change what you're doing because it isn't working. That's why you're having that emotion. Don't make your emotions wrong. Appreciate them. Be grateful for them, but immediately then ask yourself, hey, what's the message that my emotion is trying to give me here? What do I need to change? My perception or my actions? Does this make sense? Yes, no?
Here's the key to the good life. Learn to put everything you've got into everything you do. Whatever you are doing, pour it on. It will quickly open up into opportunity or quickly disclose to you that you ought to be doing something else. The delusion is, if I had a better job, I'd really pour it on. See, that's delusion. Wherever you are, pour it on. Don't give somebody half a job for a day's pay. Pour it on. See, that'll help change your life. Get rid of this disease. Here's the next attitude disease, indecision. mental paralysis. The guy can't make up his mind and it becomes a disease. Pretty soon he knows he's got it. The guy says, well, I know I'm on the fence. But he says, what if I get off on the wrong side? Listen, after a while it doesn't matter. Just get off. Any side will do. A life full of adventure is a life full of many decisions. The ones that turn out to be wrong give you better experience to make better decisions. So don't see how many decisions you can get out of, see how many you can get into. That's where the adventure is.
You cannot allow other people to validate you, because you are just who you are. This is the time that you must recognize that you have something that is special, and let the world know that you do matter in this society, that you have something great within you, that you have power, that you have will, that you have strength. I will tell you this: don't accept defeat. Don't accept excuses. Don't accept the fact that you think that you don't have what it takes when you know deep inside yourself you have it. And stand tall. So prove them wrong, but prove yourself to be right. Right in your decisions, right in your mistakes, right in your failures. I'm telling you that you have to deflect instead of absorb the negative energy. None of us will truly know success until we understand what it means to be pushed down a few times. You can't get a win without a loss. You can't go further in life without taking a few steps back. But you got to have the faith in yourself. You got to believe, and you got to stand on it. And you got to know that you can do this and give it everything you have within yourself. You must understand that we all have unique qualities within us, but we have to apply ourselves day in and day out. Yes, there are people out there right now that doubt you. And no matter how hard you work at your craft, they will still find some fault in you. All of the hard work, all of the struggles, all of the mistakes, all of the setbacks are just a part of your growth.
Some people living in very bad parts of the world that are subject to all kinds of difficulties at the hands of someone else who are probably going to disagree with that statement. But it's a collective consciousness, folks. It's just that certain parts of it hold more cards than the other parts, and so they tend to inflict themselves upon others. But you see, the reality that is, well, a lot of it is due to the corrupt and meaningless education systems that have been constructed for our societies. So people are becoming more and more disconnected from the source, disconnected from self. And due to this lack of knowledge and this lack of understanding of reality, the world is becoming polarized. Because the less you know about the game of life and the less you remember that you're simply a player in the game of life, then the more senseless it becomes. But the real point is that it's our own personal choice of whether to embrace that reality or not. All of these negative things life itself is providing you with, these are simply tools. You know, all the stuff that's around you, these are simply tools, and you can do with it what you will, but a lot of people don't see it. It's not the tool that's the problem. You know, it's not the fact that such instruments of negativity are there for us to freely use. It's how people react to these tools.
When you create yourself to make it, you're going to have to either let that creation go and take a chance on being loved or hated for who you really are, or you're going to have to kill who you really are and fall into your grave grasping onto a character that you never were. I saw this psychic palm reader sign, and she gave me a reading, and she said, you're about to do 3 things, 3 movies that will be very, very, very big and very important. And after that, it will be impossible for anyone to knock you down from that place. It's a series of like crushing disappointments, and I just go into a different gear. I go into, don't know how it's going to write itself, but it will. No, I don't know how. The guy who had the substitute teacher in grade 2 who said that, whenever I want something, I pray to the Virgin Mary and I ask her for it and I promise something in return and I get whatever I want.
So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that you did. Is that true?
I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years.
Some of you are just trying to get by. You got so many pressures on you. You want to make your family proud. You know what I'm saying? You want to get good grades. You want to make people proud. But then you also have friends and you want to be cool in their eyes and you want to kind of fit in there. And then some of you are in a really weird place. You feel like people don't understand you. You feel like you're having a hard time to connect with people. When you wake up in the morning, you feel like you're in the slumps and you feel tired and drained. Like, I get it. I've got a message for you, right? The people, those of you that's looking for acceptance from others, you're going to have to make up in your mind and say, you know what, whether you accept me or not, I'm amazing, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm talented. Because if not, if you live for their acceptance, you'll die from their rejection. So you got to tell yourself, you know what, I know I'm amazing and I know I'm smart. And those of you that feel like you're in a really weird place, those of you that feel like nobody understands you, those of you that feels like, man, I'm just here, but I'm having a hard time connecting with people. You lost your zeal. You lost your passion. You feel like, what's the point of living? You feel like you could relate to what they were doing in the skit. Here's my advice to you. Don't keep it to yourself. The worst thing that you can do when you're in that dark place is to just let that thing push you off in the corner. I'm going to challenge you to come to the light and be bold and be brave enough and be vulnerable enough to say, hey, you know what? I need help. I can't do this by myself. And you know why I'm an advocate for that so much? It's because to this day, I'm in my 30s and I still got counselors I meet with. And I still have counselors and therapists that I sit down with. And I have a counselor of people that I can meet with and connect with. Crazy, right? Some people look at me and they see our nonprofit in South Africa. They see how we're feeding and clothing people. They see my family, my wife. They see all of that and they're like, oh, Jeremy, your life's just so awesome. And I'm like, you know what? Life is good, but that don't mean I don't have struggles. That don't mean I don't have doubts. That don't mean that I don't have some insecurities. That doesn't mean that, I don't sometimes question like, man, am I good enough? Sometimes I still hear that voice. Sometimes I go back to like being that little boy in the hallway that ever heard that teacher tell my mom that I wasn't high school material. Then I have to remind myself like, no. That's not true. I am that. I can do that. I can achieve that. Sometimes I have to remind myself, what am I telling you? Like, life can be hard, life can be rough, but there's something special and there's something powerful about the human mind and about the human spirit and about the human will when you tell yourself, I won't give up, I won't surrender, I won't quit. I'm going to show up every single day and do the best that I can.
I saw myself walking across the stage at 191 pounds. That's what I had to get to get into the door. I saw myself 6 months, a year later, whatever's going to take me to do it. I saw myself walking across that stage, getting that certificate of graduation from Buds. And I was able to be there. And that feeling that I was nowhere near that feeling, I was able to put myself there 1,000,000 times every day. And that feeling of like, my God, that is going to feel amazing. That's what made me suffer. That's what allowed the pain to be real and say, this is worth it. I want to feel for this next 18 months. It took me 18 months to finally become a Navy SEAL, to finally, just get through Buds. 18 months, it's 6 months. It took me 18. That's what woke me up every morning was, I'm gonna put myself through this much pain and suffering for a few seconds. That's all it is. A few seconds of joy. It's so worth it, man. I said, people don't get it. So I'm able to put myself at the finish line, even though I have no finish line, but at the finish line of an event before I even start the to say, how are you going to feel at the end of this? Visualizing is my biggest tool of life. That's why I've been able to put myself in cold water, put myself in a 100-mile race millions of times before I've done it. And I'm able to go through the race and see how I'm going to feel at mile 50. Almost to the exact feeling.
Right, so when it comes up, it's no surprise.
It's no surprise. I've already done this 1,000,000 times.
I recommended the last time I was here, the little book, Richest Man in Babylon, and I said, I've lectured now to over 3 million people. Guess how many have actually gone and got this little book? Answer, very few. My best guess is 10%. Such an easy thing to do. This little book, number one, is easy to find. Number two, it's easy to buy. The most you can pay for it, $6, $7, $8. You can borrow that from your kids. But if it's easy to find and easy to buy, and if it's easy to read, why wouldn't everybody go get it? We don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Here's how profound it is. Some do and some don't. Now here's the numbers. About 10% do.
Make every day your masterpiece. The secret of your success, the secret of my success, is determined by what we do daily. And we've missed this all the time. I wrote a book called Today Matters. The reason I wrote the book Today Matters is because today matters. We over-exaggerate yesterday. We just think we were amazing yesterday. We weren't. Just trust me. Of course, when you're my age, 71, you don't need to worry about it. You forget. The other day I was in a car and Margaret looked at me and said, John, we're forgetting everything. I said, we kind of are, aren't we? She said, let's do a plan. I said, what's your plan? She said, you remember who we are, and I'll remember where we're going. Hey, it's working. It's really working. You got to divide it up a little bit. You got to divide it up. We over-exaggerate yesterday. Hey, we overestimate tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Oh, tomorrow. I'll get to that tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll do that. Oh, yeah. Tomorrow. By the way, good intentions are worthless. Worthless, folks. When are you going to fall out of love with good intentions? They're worthless. Good intentions are worthless unless they lead to good actions. Nobody ever had their life changed by somebody hoping, thinking. Good intentions are not enough.
I wrote a book, I don't know, maybe 8-10 years ago called Put Your Dream to the Test. Okay. And it's just a good, solid book. And in it, the kind of the thesis of that book was that the more valid reasons you have to accomplish a dream, the higher the odds are that you will. Now that's a powerful thesis. So I mean, there's no cotton candy here. There's no hype stuff here.
Yes.
And so I basically looked at what are the valid reasons to achieve a dream, and there were 10 of them.
Okay.
And so I formed it in a way of questions. But the first question is your dream really your dream? And that's where we start at. Because can I tell you something? If your dream isn't really your dream, ain't going to work. And I tell people in the book, hey, the first dream we have isn't our dream. Yes. It's our parents' dream. My mom and dad, when I was 7, they thought I was going to be a musician. And so I'm taking piano lessons from the 7 years old to about 13. I wasn't any good at piano. It wasn't your giftedness. It wasn't my gift, but they're so proud. They go to my recitals and clap. You see, I'm living their dream. I'm playing the piano. I can't play the piano. I'm not very good at it. I'm not gifted, but it doesn't matter. I'm living their dream. Yep. So what I tell people all the time is we start off our life living someone else's dream, probably our parents. So what happens to a lot of people as adults, they never switch.
So true.
And so they're still living someone else's dream. And again, it's like a biblical analogy. It's King, or David before he was king, putting on King Saul's armor.
Yes.
It's not fitting, and he's staggering around there. Well, I know a lot of people, they're putting on someone else's armor, and they just aren't going to achieve because it's not who they are. It's not their dream.
So that's a key phrase. It's not what happens, it's what you do. What happens is about the same. You might put that in parentheses here. Same. What people do, that's what's different. Anything can happen, right? Everything can happen. I've heard all the stories. I've been one of the stories. Hey, we could all tell stories all night long, right? Happenings. Anything can happen. Have you heard of Murphy's Laws? Anybody here heard of Murphy's Laws? Okay, most of you have. Murph had these laws. One of them was, if anything can go wrong, it will. That's one of Murphy's laws. He was not one of the great positive speakers of the day. But anyway, it's still true though, right? Anything can go wrong, everything can go wrong. For sure. I've fallen out of the sky so many times. Once to the tune of a couple of million. Devastating. Took me a while to survive that one. Now, it wasn't all that much, but it was all I had. Right? I mean, that's when it's much, right? When it's all you got. If you got 3, 2 go, you got 1 left, you ain't looking that bad. But when it all goes, has anybody been there when it all went? Anybody? Come on, the rest of you liars. Go ahead. Hey, we've all been there, right? When it all went.
Of course, it used to be a long time ago, right? When you ran out of money, got to zero, you were all through. Heck, now you can whistle right on by zero, right? I mean, they will bury you. That's what they will do. But see, those are the happenings, right? Everything can happen. Anything can happen. But it's not the happenings. It's what you do about it. Somebody says, yeah, but you don't understand the disappointments I've had. Come on. Everybody's had their share. Disappointments are not special gifts reserved for the poor. Everybody has them. The difference is what you do about it. It's not the weather. I used to blame the weather, and I discovered it rains on the rich. So see, that won't help. Two men wake up one morning, there's a rainstorm on. One of them looks out his window, sees the rainstorm, and he says, wow, what a storm. With weather like this, they can't expect you to go out and make sales. He stays home. Same morning, the other guy looks out his window, sees the same storm, says, wow, what a storm. But he says, you know what, with weather like this, what a great day to go out and make sales. Most everybody will probably be home, especially the salesman. See, that's the difference in how your life works out. It's not what happens, it's what you do. So here's one of the key questions of the evening. Starting tomorrow, what are you going to do that'll make a change in your life's direction? Good question. What are you going to do starting tomorrow that'll make a difference?
And I've learned to be detached to some degree. You know, that's one thing you learn as a clinician, is people are always talking to you about terrible things and the difficulties in their life, and you can take that home and have it destroy you because you're constantly exposed to the troubles of existence, and they're real troubles, you know. And I mean, it's not unique to clinicians. You see that with physicians and palliative care workers and people who work in morgues and emergency responders, and like there's lots of people who face the very difficult aspects of life very frequently. You detach yourself from it to some degree, you know, and I don't mean in a disinterested way. I mean in a way that is sort of allied with a longer term view. You know, like if I'm doing an interview now with someone who's attacking me, and I can get irritable. I think I was too irritable in the GQ interview, for example, which some of you might have watched. I think, well, I'm not going to jump to conclusions about how this is going to go, even with regards to how it feels right in the moment. We'll see how it unfolds across time. And I'll try to manage myself in the moment with the least amount of upset that I can manage. And it's part of the doctrine of minimal necessary force. Like one of the things I've learned, if you have a dispute with someone and it needs to be settled, and maybe they need to change more than you, and that's not always the case because sometimes the settling requires change on your part, but let's say that they have to be defeated in some sense in comparison to you. You don't want to defeat them any more than necessary. You know, it's like you don't knock your opponent to the ground and then jump up and down on them 3 or 4 times in triumph. You know, you pin them and then let them up. Minimal necessary force, because any more than that just produces a counter reaction. And I guess the other thing is my motivation when I'm engaged, let's say in these discussions, is that I'm not trying to win the argument. I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to say what I think as clearly as I can. And there might be one of the consequences of that might be what appears to be a victory, but the right victory is the victory for your ability to articulate what you believe. And that's what I'm trying to do. And so that's another reason to stay composed. It's like, well, okay, this person is just throwing a curveball at me. It's like, all right, so, well, I could be thinking, well, I don't want to be undermined by that, and I don't want to make a fool of myself, and I don't want to be put on the spot. And of course, all of those things are true. But mostly what I'm thinking about is, okay, well, now I've got that question. I want to answer as truthfully as I possibly can. What do I think about what was just said? And I'm not calculating the outcome. I'm assuming this is a mark of faith.
I want to talk to you today about don't waste your pain. We all go through disappointments, setbacks, loss. Pain is a part of life. It's easy to get discouraged, even bitter. Think, why is this happening to me? But one of the best principles I've learned is don't put a question mark where God has put a period. All of us have things we don't understand. One reason is we can't see the big picture for our lives. If you have a puzzle, on the front of the box, there's the picture. You see what it's supposed to look like. Maybe it's a sunset overlooking the ocean. As a whole, it's fantastic, so beautiful. But if you were to take one piece and isolate it, you would think, look at this funny looking piece. It's a mistake. It's not going to fit anywhere. It's an odd shape. There's nothing beautiful about it. But the fact is, that piece has a perfect place. It's already been fitted, planned, designed. When the other pieces come together, it will fit in. The reason you can't see it now is because they all are not in place yet. In the same way, sometimes we look at pieces in our lives that don't make sense. Joel, I went through a divorce. I lost a loved one. I'm going through cancer. My business went down. This piece couldn't be a part of God's plan. But you have to trust that even in the painful times, the times you're hurting, you're lonely, you're taking the treatment, on the surface, that piece doesn't make sense. But God doesn't make any mistakes. He's already designed your life, laid out all the pieces down to the smallest details. And God never said that we would understand everything that happens along the way. He didn't promise that we'd never have any heartache, pain, disappointment, loss, setbacks, but He did promise that it would all work out for our good. And that piece that's painful, doesn't look like it makes any sense, when everything comes together, it will fit perfectly into place. The key is what we do in our times of pain. Pain will change us. Heartache, loss, disappointments, they don't leave us the same. When I lost my father, I didn't come out like I was before. I was changed. If you go through a divorce, a legal battle, a friend betrays you, eventually that will pass. You'll get through it, but you will be different. Now, how the pain changes you is up to you. You can come out bitter, or you can come out better. You can come out with a chip on your shoulder blaming God, or you can come out stronger with a greater confidence in God. You can come out defeated, giving up on your dreams, or you can come out with a new passion, a new fire, excited about the new opportunities in front of you. All of us experience pain. My challenge, don't just go through it, grow through it. That difficulty is an opportunity to get stronger, to develop character, to gain new confidence. Anybody can give up. Anybody can let it overwhelm you. But you know what that's doing? Wasting your pain. That pain is not there to stop you. It's there to prepare you, to increase you, to develop you. The scripture talks about how God is in control, not just of our lives, but He's in control of our enemies. Satan had to ask God for permission to test Job. The enemy may turn on the fire, but the good news is God has His hand on the thermostat. God controls how much heat, how much pain, how much adversity. He knows what we can handle. If it was going to harm us rather than help us, God would have turned back the intensity. In those tough times, when you're uncomfortable, going through a loss, dealing with an illness, you could easily let it overwhelm you. It's helpful to remind yourself, I may be in this fire, but I know who controls the temperature. The God who breathed life into me. The God who is for me and not against me. The God who crowned me with favor. The God who takes pleasure in prospering me. He's in complete control. He's not going to let it get too hot. He's not going to let it defeat me. I may not like it, but I'm not a whiner. I'm a warrior. I know I can handle this. You have that attitude, you'll come out stronger, increased, promoted, better than you were before. We've all heard the saying, no pain, no gain. If everything was always easy, we wouldn't be prepared for our destiny. Some of the things I face today, if I would have faced them 10 years ago, they would have overwhelmed me. I couldn't handle it back then. God knows what you need when you need it. Every struggle is making you stronger. Every difficulty is growing you up. Every painful time, even though you don't like it, it's developing something in you that can only be developed in the tough times. Don't complain about the pain. Without the pain, we couldn't reach the fullness of our destinies. Researchers did an experiment with bumblebees. They took them up into space to study the effects of weightlessness on them. The bees floated through the air with great ease, didn't have to use their wings. I'm sure they thought this is the way we were made to live. No struggle, no adversity, no resistance. For a few days, everything was great. But on the fourth day, something happened. They all died. They loved it being easy, no adversity. But the problem was they weren't created to not have any resistance. In the same way, we were not created to float through life on flowery beds of ease. We're going to the sweet by and by, but we are living in the nasty now and now. We love to not have any pain, loss, disappointments, heartaches, betrayal. That's not reality. Difficulties are a part of life. Have the right perspective. In those tough times, God is getting you prepared. If it was too much, He would have turned back the temperature. He's got His hand on the thermostat. Now quit telling yourself you can't take it. You're not weak. You are well able. You are armed with strength for this battle. You are full of can-do power. The reason the fire is so hot is because God has something amazing in your future. He's getting you prepared for the next level of your destiny. See, God doesn't just randomly say, let me give them some pain to make their life miserable. Let me hit her with a sickness. Let me hit him with some marriage problems. There is a purpose for the pain. We may not always understand it. Joel, why did I get sick? Why did I lose my loved one? Why did my marriage not make it? I can't answer that. But I can tell you, if God allowed it, He knows how to bring good out of it. This is what faith is all about. God, I don't like the pain, but I trust You. I believe You're in control. Now, I'm not going to just go through it. I'm going to grow through it. I'm going to keep a good attitude. I'm going to count it all joy, knowing that this pain is leading to my gain. Sometimes we bring pain on ourselves. We make poor choices, and get in a relationship we know is not good, or maybe get over our head in our spending. And now it's painful. We're having to deal with the consequences. And God is full of mercy. He'll always give us the grace to get out of it. But the way to not waste your pain is you have to learn the lesson.